Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Interlinked, the official podcast of Neo Tokyo.
What's up, crypto gamers? Nick here with a little update on Shrapnel. So we have clearly not missed the news on our chief sponsor. We've heard about the layoffs. We've heard about the legal issues. We've reached out to the team, and our former contact, who is no longer at Shrapnel, assured us that they are still working on the game. I know they're posting about controller support. They're posting about a new AR that'll be coming to the next Access event, but we're a little sparse on details. They, as far as we know, still sponsor the show, and so we're making an ad to update our community on what we know from our perspective. If that changes, we'll make sure to update this with better information. Hope everyone stays well and has a good crypto gaming week. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Playa3ull Games. They are inspired by gamers and funded by their community. They have a epic game on the Epic Games Store, a third-person shooter called Nexus. Hop on in there and check that out. They're also currently selling nodes, so if you're interested, check that out at their website, playable.games. That is a 3 instead of a B on Playable. Now strap in for the rest of this episode of Interlinked.
Today, we have the honor of speaking with the one, the only, the legend, the myth, the man, the mighty CryptoStache. How are you today, sir?
What is going on, guys? Hanging out. We're doing it. Excited to be here on the historic 50th episode, right?
Boom. That's right. And alongside of us, as always, the greatest co-host of all time, Mr. Nick, Crypto Atheist. How are you, sir?
Doing wonderful. As Stash said, we got episode 50. We've got a guest tuning in from a deep, deep layer, what looks to be the CIA. So excited to dive in.
GIA, sir. GIA, right?
GIA.
The Gaming Intelligence Agency were completely. I know people get it confused. It's very confusing. They get it confused, but the Gaming Intelligence Agency is a completely different entity. So you guys know what we do is equally important.
And did you guys branch off from the CIA? Did you guys get your own start after World War II?
I mean, this has been a fairly new organization that's been spun up here, and when it comes down to securing the crypto gaming networks, making sure things are running smoothly, monitoring everything going on in this huge bustling industry, someone has to do it. We can't just let the Beckers and the Elliots they're running wild out here, just pumping bags and throwing projects to the wind. Someone's got to be looking out for the little guy. That's what we do.
Government's got your back. I love it.
Yeah, so maybe we can actually do a deep dive into how the GIA got started, what some of the core principles there are, and then let's dive deep. Let's really dig in and uncover some intelligence here.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a few things. There are some things that I just can't divulge, otherwise I got to kill you. But that's just kind of how it goes in the life of a secret agent. The GIA has had a we won't say long and illustrious career, but a short and illustrious career so far. Really kind of got started with my passion for crypto, and really seeing the emergence of gaming and crypto together, right? So I started covering crypto in 2017. Officially, I've been invested and a part of the industry since 2013. So there's a lot going on in that span between 2013 and to when I actually started, kind of talking about this and sharing content, which started about the end of 2016, going into 2017. As an investor, I kind of just sat on Bitcoin for a long time, and then after a few years, I, kind of jumped back into things. I saw Ethereum and I was like, ooh, this is an interesting new development. What's going on here? And so, that kind of brought me back, and I really started diving into more of the things going on. And I was like, man, there's a lot of really cool things going on here. And as we saw Ethereum really start to open up the doors to what could be done beyond just, a financial layer with Bitcoin kind of looking to be more of a store of value type of thing, and not necessarily a daily transactional currency. Ethereum kind of stepping up and being that new layer of actual development, right? Being able to develop apps on top of this type of technology. And so, 2017 very much focused on crypto stuff until towards the end of the year when we really saw the first like inklings of gaming coming to the forefront with the advent of NFTs, where you have fungible tokens like Bitcoin as like one side of the puzzle, one side of the answer, we'll say, and then NFTs, non-fungible tokens, being the other side. And that really, I think, propelled the whole gaming narrative forward. And we saw that with CryptoKitties, or some earlier ones like Cheese Wizards, and a couple other ones that were out there. Turned down CryptoPunks. Thought it looked like shit. I was like, what is this pixelated bullshit, man? This is not even good pixel art. There's good pixel art out there, man. This is not it. Hey, but the whole gaming thing was really something that I loved. I've been a gamer my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, gaming on Atari systems early on, and some of the early computers was always one of my passions, and always have been a gamer, never stopped. And then when I saw the kind of two things I love, this kind of new technology and crypto and gaming being merged together, I was like, this is what I want to work on. These are the things I want to do. So, if you guys are around in the 2017, 2018, 2019 era, I was the only one pushing it. Was the only one streaming crypto games or talking about them on Twitch and YouTube. The only one. People would tell me I was a moron for pushing NFTs. I couldn't give NFTs away at conferences. People like BitBoy Crypto and Crypto Indio, all friends that's I kind of done content with over the years and hung out with, and I told NFTs are gonna be the future of the game. They're like, nah, Stash, this is never gonna catch on, man. It's just gonna be a fad, a trend. It's not even a big thing. All of them have walked back and understand and respect the fact that I was there first, and doing some really cool milestones with early companies like Engine. I was the first content creator ever to distribute NFTs to a mass audience. I distributed 5,000 of my first like CryptoStache loot, was just my logo, to people for free. 5,000 people through the Engine network. No one had ever done anything like that before. No creator had even made their own NFTs really before. It was basically just projects. So a little bit of early on kind of stuff here, and all these things have kind of evolved over time into what you see now as the Gaming Intelligence Agency, where we have multiple agents across the globe. I mean, thousands of agents at this point that are all invested in the future of what gaming is going to be, and crypto is going to be a big part of that.
Oh, I absolutely
And
love it. And on the CryptoPunk side, we'd be remiss if we weren't talking to a fine agent of the GIA to not get into a little conspiracy. I mean, it wasn't the art that ended up pumping CryptoPunks. So it seems like, at least from some of the stuff that I saw, if Gary Vee didn't hop on a giant Zoom call with a bunch of the biggest, like, sort of influencers in the space, would CryptoPunks have really been what CryptoPunks became?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people appreciate early stuff like that, as being kind of a benchmark, we'll say, a benchmark of like, hey, look, I was early. And you're right, when you get people, like that are, pumping the bags essentially, same thing we saw with Bored Apes. Not every, no, and but then everyone trying to replicate those same types of successes, and failing, thousands and thousands of projects just absolutely failing and all gone, for the most part. So not everything's going to be a winner, and I'm not always going to pick them right, man. But when at the time when they were giving them away for free, it wasn't, it was like, that's simple.
nobody gave a shit.
No, and not that many people did. I mean, really, it's like that's what I'm trying to say, man. Is that when they first got started, it was like no one really cared. It wasn't, it was cool, but it was just like, man, I don't know. It was not, it wasn't like like CryptoKitties when that came out, that was way more interesting to me, and that's kind of where I gravitate towards, right? I think a lot of people in this space are gravitated towards, what's the DJ play? How am I going to make a bunch of money? And it's a kind of it's kind of meme to death at this point, but I'm in it for the tech. And like legit, that's why I was here. That's why I got started. That's why I was early, because I was in it for the tech, as most people were from the 2010 era of Bitcoin talk all the way through, 2017, 2018, when, influencers started coming in, people started talking more about it in a very visible way. and bigger money started coming in.
What do you think was that inflection point where it moved from, okay, most people are here for the tech to maybe not most people are here for the tech. Maybe most people are here for the, for the financial gain or for whatever different reasons that they might be here. Um, when do you think that inflection point was? What do you think really caused that?
I mean, we've seen a couple of different eras here. So I would say like the 2017 pump towards the end of the year was probably the start of that. I think it was the real first big one that was like very publicized outside of just like our tiny industry, right? Big news outlets picking it up, talking about it at that point. Before then, we'd had bull runs. They just weren't really publicized very much at all. 2014, it's huge. And I mean, relatively huge at the time, right? So I think it was probably, towards the end of 2017, 2018 was when we really saw that kind of, retail investor coming in and that kind of pump mentality. And, bear market hits and then 2020 comes around, 2021. I think we saw even more, right? Hitting even more mainstream, everyone going crazy with Bored Apes and massive celebrities changing their PFPs on Twitter to all these different PFP. So I think that was probably those two events. Anytime we have a major bull run, that always kind of kicks off a lot of those things. So I think the 2017 really was that first beginning.
And as things have kind of developed, what I've really noticed about your particular brand of content creation is you really don't have the kitty gloves on. I mean, you're really going out there and kind of telling people what you think, which is oftentimes very different from what we're seeing in the marketplace. A lot of people either have sponsors or they have other interests or other motives or whatever it may be. How did you get to the point where, or how did you architect your business or your brand, or maybe just kind of talk about that a little bit more? Because I feel like most people aren't doing that, but you do, and you're still alive, and if anything, it's been really really good for your brand. Maybe
Yeah, I mean,
talk about
I
that.
think they've tried to cancel me multiple times. I'm still here. Yeah, the walls are really thick in this place. I mean, I would say at least 6 to 8 feet thick. Yeah. So good luck trying to get to me. I got very thick walls. I guess is the best way to say it. Yeah, man. Thousands of negative YouTube comments and tons of hate and competition on X and other platforms. Funny enough, early on, when I was streaming, I started off on Twitch. And I got so much toxicity there. People just, crypto's a scam. NFTs are horrible. What are you doing? You look like a moron. Those kinds of things. And it's been a long journey. But I had conviction since the beginning. I knew crypto gaming was going to be big. I knew NFTs were going to be a huge part of our future, not just for gaming, but across the board. The technology is solid. I knew this, but for years, no one else cared. So yeah, it's been a very, very long journey with a lot of hurdles to jump. The way I deal with it is A, like I said, strong conviction, but B, also understanding that I just try and be real with it. I just try and be honest. There's a lot of people out there that will their opinions are driven by the money or the sponsors they get. I get sponsorships. People pay me. They give me the big dollars, the big bucks. But the fact of the matter is, you're not paying for my opinion. You're paying for me to do content on your game. I think that's a dividing factor, man. Is it, most people out there are only pumping the stuff they're invested in or their bags or who's paying them. And, that's all you ever see about them, right? Like, I'm not going to name names here, but people you probably know out there, citizens, are doing these things all the time. I just try and be honest. And, I disclose every, sponsorship as I should. I know that, there's a lot of people out there that are not in the US where they don't have to do that, and they don't. Even if I wasn't in the US, I'd still be doing it. So once again, man, I think just transparency and honesty and giving my honest opinion has really been what I've always focused on. And has it lost me followers? Fuck yeah, it has. Has it lost me friends? It totally has. And it probably will continue to. Because I'm not going to be the dude who's just like up only, pump your bags. Whoever pays me the most, I'm going to just say they're the best. there's people, there's times where people are like Stash, I know you're a sponsor, you're an advisor of this project. Why did you rate us at a C tier? Look, man, I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know what to tell you. If something changes and there's new developments, or token unlocks change, or the technology's better, there's more utility, or you put out a better version, or bigger hires, or whatever it means, some good fundamentals, my opinion will change. And I revise it all the time, so I think that's really what I've tried to do and uphold, those kind of types of things. Transparency is a huge pillar of Web3 in general. So the people who are like, I don't need to put anything out publicly. I don't need, like, yeah, of course you do. That's one of the main reasons why we're here. It's one of the main uses of this technology. So I try and live that.
And I think you really showed how you lived that with your work on Shrapnel. That was something that I found very inspirational. And we actually put out an ad inspired by you because we are sponsored by Shrapnel and we still are not getting updates on what's going on there. And we had a moment as a team, and I will say it was inspired by you to be like, okay, we owe it to our audience at the end of the day to say, hey, not everything is rainbow and sunshine over at Shrapnel, and we don't even really know what the update is, and we put out an ad saying just that hey, these are what we're seeing from your research, and we don't have any counterfactuals from the team, so this is how things stand. So I'd love to get a little bit of your thought process of putting that work out. I mean, it sounds like it's just that was the truth, but would love to hear a little bit about the DD. You did quite a deep dive into some
Yeah.
confusing legal, multiple companies, lawsuits, ownership. It was not easy. It was, I would consider it investigative journalism. And that is not something that you run into outside of CoffeeZilla in the Web3 space.
Yeah, guys, I'm not gonna lie, that was a painful video to do. I love the Shrapnel team. I loved what they were working on. People were like, "Oh, you're fudding. You don't, like, look, man, it's not me. I'm just, bringing to light these documents. It's not like I don't have, it's not like I'm just over here to say my opinion. It's just here's what's going on legally." And I did the same thing, and I didn't get as much praise for Gala Games as well. When when they had a big lawsuit and multiple lawsuits, I've covered all of them. You know, um, their situation was a little bit different than the Shrapnel situation. Am I invested in Shrapnel? Yes, I own a ton of Shrap. So, have I been sponsored by Shrapnel directly ever? No. That doesn't change my mind. If I was, I still would have put the video out. But I will tell you, all the people who were sponsored by Shrapnel basically kind of tried to sweep that underneath the rug, and they didn't want to talk about it because they don't want those dollars to dry up, right? There's lots of Shrapnel sponsored content out there. Some of your favorite and popular shows. They don't want to alienate those sponsors, and that's a huge, once again, that's a huge thing in this industry. Well, maybe I'm not gonna just say anything because I don't want to alienate these guys. I don't want my money to dry up, so I'll just kind of refrain, and I'm sure I'll never, have any sponsor opportunities with Shrapnel again. Who knows? Maybe not. They definitely won't retweet me or give me kind of preference, I'm sure, in the future, which is unfortunate that a company would take that approach. But what I will say is that it did get them to at least make a statement, even if the statement was kind of bullshit. It did prompt them to actually then communicate something to their community, even was very just fluffy, in my opinion, and really didn't answer any of the questions. But when it comes down to your entire IP is at stake, not just, oh, there's some tokens that are in contention, but now the fact that your IP could literally be taken from you, that is like that could be game ending. And I hope it's not the case. I'm really, it's like I'm not doing this because I want to see them fail. I want to see them succeed. But when there's multiple people in my Discord asking questions and no one knows what's going on, all these team members that are friends of mine that I've known for years, they don't know what's going on. I just like this is something that needs to happen. And honestly, it just kind of started very, very simply, and I just kept going down the rabbit hole. I was like, oh man, I kept finding more stuff, more stuff. And then when I found the IP stuff, I was like, oh, this is way bigger than anybody even knows. This needs to be out there. And yeah, once again, like not the easiest video to make because, like I said, I like the team, I like what they've been doing. They've been one of the most supportive teams in the industry, and they've done a lot of things right. A lot of things right.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we viewed putting out that ad to be not only the best thing for our audience, not only like the right thing to do, but we even believe that it's the right thing to do for our sponsor, Shrapnel, because we're like, if we just pretend nothing's going on, all the credibility is gone. Like people are going to remember being like, hey, listen, when when the ship was burning down, you were still whistling Dixie, and we're going to remember that.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, we were like, if we put this information out that is true, then if Shrapnel does rise like a phoenix from the ashes, and we're going to be able to share that with the community, and people will actually believe us because we told them the truth in the beginning. So really appreciate the inspiration there to really, at the end of the day, have the chief goal be putting out the truth.
Well, it just comes down to, do you put your community first and your followers and the people who look up to you, or are you putting money and sponsors first? It's that simple. Most people, yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of people will choose the money and the sponsors, and I just don't go that route. As we talked about earlier, sometimes I've lost friends, I've lost followers, I've lost sponsors, I've lost all kinds of stuff. People who don't want to work because of me giving my honest opinion. They don't like it. They think, oh, we've paid you. Say we're S tier. You are, you are. You're not, you're not. That simple.
I actually think it kind of calls to question a lot of what's going on in almost all media, because there's definitely things that are going on under the table or behind the scenes, or there's a handshake, behind closed doors, and people are just not talking about it. And I don't know if that's ever going to change, but I definitely think for us, we were like, no, we want to be the kind of people that like we can sleep well at night because we know that we're actually giving our audience the truth and telling the people, what we actually think. And it is very, very difficult, especially like this industry is not that big. Like there are definitely a finite number of people in the crypto gaming world. And a lot of people could get pretty mad, and that, it can ruffle a lot of feathers, but the
It does.
people at the end of the day should be the focus, because they're trusting us, one, with their attention, and two, a lot of them are trusting us to help spotlight and point the way towards really good projects from really good ideas. So I almost feel like we
Mhm.
have a moral obligation beyond any sort of, forced obligation from whatever structure exists from legal and blah blah blah, but actually a moral obligation to like tell our people the truth and actually do right by them.
Well, that attitude is few and far between these days across the board, not just here in crypto, but pretty much everywhere you look. Money drives things, you know, and it's not going to change. I get it. Money buys you a lot of things, man. But at some point, you just got to understand that eh, money comes and goes. It's easier to get than it is to get loyalty, right? So you think about like, well, what's more important? Like to me, time, loyalty, those are important things in life. They're incredibly hard to get. You don't really get much time. Like you only get so much time. You can't. There's not really a good way at this point. Maybe it'll change to get like more time on your life, right? Or more than 24 hours in a day. Loyalty is also something that people say could be bought, but not really. Only loyal until the money runs out, which has happened multiple times. To multiple people, I'm sure, me as well. So yeah, I mean, not everybody takes that stance, man, because they want the money. They don't really care. Like, and they'll try and front and LARP out there as much as they can, so they can seem like they're altruistic and you look, but really in behind the scenes, they're really just there and kind of follow the money, So I don't know, man. Like I said, I just kind of do my thing. Some people like it. Some people appreciate it. Some people enjoy it. Others don't. I've been in this industry for a long time. I've seen people pass me in numbers time and time again because they'll just pump everybody's bags and blow smoke up their ass. And, I won't do that. And so that, a lot of these people who are very tribalistic in crypto, that's the people they want to follow. The people who are like, when to buy, when to sell. That's what I want to do. Not the guy who's telling me the truth and breaking down the technical aspects and only focusing on gameplay or having fun, as a number one thing versus win moon. Not that I don't talk about that stuff sometimes too, but that's not the focus of why I do things. And yeah, it can be a hard road sometimes.
And I am somewhat optimistic about the future because I think if you look at the traditional media space, it does have a little bit of a life cycle that we're following here in Web3, which is in the beginning, there was a lot of like grassroots journalism. Then it got super corporatized, super sponsored, like very, very cookie cutter. Most people were getting their sources from like the mainstream news, which was bought and paid for by a series of corporations.
Yeah.
But then it only takes a couple podcasts where people are telling the truth to make that the new meta. And if everybody is parroting the sponsored shit, it's really hard to tell what's real. If you get a few sources that are telling the truth, that becomes, a gravitational pull. And, very similar, CoffeeZilla, yourself, you inspired us to make sure that we were following in those footsteps. So my hope is that that becomes a gravitational thing where people are like, oh, I'm so sick. Maybe the next halving, people will be like, oh, I'm not watching X, Y, or Z. Like they're just parroting whatever, these big chains or these big games are wanting them to say.
Yeah, and I feel that, man. I would love for that to be the case. I mean, I don't know how much that gravitational pull is, but is it stronger than the greed in this industry? Maybe it would be nice. Now, when you look at like a CoffeeZilla, who basically that's all he does. To me, man, I like to be as positive as possible with what I'm doing. I'm not out here just there's some people in particular in content creation who their stick is just to shit on everything. Because people love that. They love the drama, they love the toxicity for whatever reason of someone just absolutely destroying, no matter if it's true or not, but just absolutely destroying something else. Right? They love the destruction of it. And so, I like what CoffeeZilla does. Don't get me wrong, but most of the time it's not a positive. He's not doing, it's like the news, man. The news, you turn on mainstream news and it's all, who died, what crimes were committed, all the atrocities. It's not like anything really positive ever, almost never, unless it's like a fluff piece that was like paid for, and it's like, oh, here's like the latest ice cream truck guy, and like he's coming down for whatever, some bullshit like that, right? So I prefer to focus on things that are positive and fun versus things that are negative and maybe they're informative, but not fun. Is it fun to have to do a video about shrapnel and like investigate them? And like, not really, man. It's not fun. I had, how many freaking legal docs I had to read? That shit is hard as fuck to read, man. It's a pain in the ass. So like, I don't envy CoffeeZilla where you get kind of, I wouldn't say pigeonhole, but you do kind of in this respect of like, well, he's the investigation guy. He's over here, uncovering all this stuff and all like, and I'm like, yeah, is it going to get a lot of views? Sure, because people like that toxicity. They love the negativity of these types of things way more than they do just a solid video about something or someone having a good time or being positive. And that has been proven time and time again. It's a psychological thing. And because I'm not necessarily geared towards that, and I'm geared more towards positivity and fun, I'm not going to get as many views, as many followers, as many people who want to watch this content consistently. But that's fine with me, man. Like I said, I do what I do, and some people respect it, and others, will gravitate towards the negativity. And all I can keep doing is, like you said, just trying to amass as much gravity. So maybe some of that will rub off on other people, and they'll have a little bit more joy in their life versus a little bit more negativity, which I can guarantee all of us could do a little bit without.
Absolutely. And to shift gears a little bit and perhaps onto a positive note, I don't know what color pill you call it when you get pilled into Telegram, but Ben did that to me this weekend. Telegram pilled. Because I was extremely skeptical of the Telegram space. Essentially, my opinion
Yeah.
was this is 85% bots. This is just one hand washing the other, where companies need volume in order to get on sexes or to get their next tranche of funding. And this is the quickest place that you can get players and hit those metrics. And I was very, very skeptical. Now, do I still think there's some of that going on? 110%. But after playing a few of the Telegram games and seeing how easy it is to get into the games, how quick it is to set up like a little wallet in there, and then just like recapturing some of the fun of like just like a simple mobile game with a little bit of incentives. I'm now at least cautiously optimistic. But I know you did a deep dive recently. I know Ben is literally chomping at the bit to talk
I
about
see.
Telegram. You
We
can
got
see
him, boys. We got him.
So I'd love to get your opinion on this new, meta.
I have some history with Telegram. You know, the app's been around for a while. I started using it when it first launched, and it was definitely very crypto dominated, right? It was the go-to for crypto communication and communities. And so I built a pretty big community there. We had almost 5,000 people in my Telegram group at one time. And I was doing all the early NFT stuff with my community there, and, early wax days, which were a lot of fun, and a bunch of other stuff, man. But Telegram quickly got dominated by like you said, by bots, man, and scammers. There's just so much, and it's so proliferated. At one point I was like, you know what? This is not the place for gamers. Gamers are on Discord. Like mainstream gamers, that's what they use. They don't. No one know. They don't use Telegram for that shit, man. Discord was definitely a place. So I made the switch 4 years ago, almost 3.5, 4 years ago, I think. We made the switch from Telegram to Discord. I don't regret anything. I think that Telegram is an okay app, but it's limited in a lot of ways. I think that, obviously with some of the recent drama, which, privacy concerns, yeah, I get it. I'm not going to get into all that stuff. That does suck, but, all right, I understand. Just dude doesn't want to go to jail. Um, you know, when it comes to the game aspect of it, the funny thing about this, I did do a video recently about Telegram games. I scoured the net trying to find some of the best ones out there. And, like I said, they're all very just simple kind of mobile games. But what they really are, or what they really aren't, actually, is the best way to say it, is they're not actual native Telegram games. They're just a Telegram is a wrapper for their web interface. So when you pop a game up, any of these games, like I can tell you, any game that you're popping up right now, you're literally just popping up a web browser inside of Telegram that is then allowing you to play that game kind of right there through the interface. So if you want to play the same game that you say, oh, it's kind of cool, I could just jump in, it's real easy, wallet, and then I can play it. You could do it in less clicks by just going to the website. Now, the accessibility of having a popular app that like lots of people are using for communication and other things, and then just be able to do it from there, that accessibility is real, right? So that it does make it much more accessible. But I mean, the thing is like to call it a Telegram game is a little bit misleading because it's not actually in Telegram. Like there's no actual game there. It's just wrapping, a browser in Telegram interface that may allow you to kind of go back and forth and stuff like that. So, not horrible, but how long does somebody play one of these games? For how, like, is it a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months? As long as the money keeps coming in, maybe longer. I don't know. Where are you playing them while you're taking a shit? Probably. Or I don't know. Does anyone take like actual serious time out of the workday and be like, you know what? I'm going to take some time right now to just play some Telegram games. I'm going to put some work off, and I'm really just going to sit here at the desk or on the couch, just really focus on playing these games because I love them so much. And you're like, I made 2 cents. All right.
So I'm sensing a bit of bearishness around the TG gaming wave that we're seeing.
Well, like I said, is it really it's not a Telegram, it's an accessibility through Telegram gaming wave. Like, right? It's not like if they were actually built on the Ton network in some sort of way that was meaningful, like through the app, that would be interesting to me. Way more interesting, like a native in-app, like actual, but it's not. As far as I know, I mean, like everything I saw was not that, right? I will say they got Flappy Bird, man. They got him. That's something.
They did get him.
The OG
They did
Flappy
get him.
Bird came back. He's on Telegram. That's the only way you can play him. All right.
Yeah, we met
That's
him
kind of
at
cool.
Rare Evo. We were like, "Is this guy legit?" He like walked up to the booth. He's like, "I've got the Flappy Bird IP,"
Yeah.
and like talked to him for like 20 minutes. He walks away. I'm like, I don't know if that guy was crazy or if he's actually got Flappy Bird. And then we just started to see it come up in
Yeah, no, yeah,
Telegram.
Rob from Digital Asset News. Yeah, he's my buddy. I've known him for a little while now. I like Rob, and I put out this video, and I kind of was like, I was maybe a little aggressive in saying like, they stole him because they kind of did. But I gotta say, look, it was a good move, and I told him that too. I was like, I probably should have said that too in the video. He was a little pissed at me. I'm not gonna lie, he was a little pissed about the video, and I was like, look, man, okay, did you steal him? Like, yeah, you kind of did, but look, dude, that was a big move. That was a bullish move, in my opinion. Dude, the original dude let the IP lapse. That's your fault, man. So then this other company swooped it up, and then now they're going to continue with the IP, and now you're like, oh, I didn't sell it. I'm not approving it. Like, of course you didn't, because you didn't give a shit about it. All right. So
That
all the
is
people who are like community noting every post they put up, I think is funny. But in general, I'm very pirate, like at least 5%, maybe 10. So I endorsed that, you know.
it's definitely a baller move, and that's just business. That's how it goes. But jumping back on the Telegram piece, I definitely hear you on the it's not actually a TG native game.
Mhm.
However, we are seeing, and definitely there are a lot of bots for sure, but
Mhm.
also we are seeing a lot of people getting very excited and things are blowing up. And just as a function of talking to a lot of game founders, as I'm sure you are too, people are generating real revenue on Telegram with these mini apps, and we're seeing a lot of traffic being driven with real people, real revenues. You know, I'm seeing the screenshots and everything. In my opinion, this could be like the Facebook 2011 2012. This is this is the 2024 version of that. What are your thoughts there from a distribution and player acquisition standpoint? Again, a lot of bots for sure. Maybe not all of the actual players are like your highest LTV players, but there are a lot of players. There is real revenue being generated, and it is looking like a powerful distribution channel. Have you kind of what are your thoughts on that side of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I just said earlier, that is the biggest thing about it, is that it is a good distribution channel. There are a lot of people just natively on Telegram. It's a very popularly used app. Before any games like this were kind of really blowing up, or you started seeing multiple clones of the same types of games like Hamster Combat. There's already millions of people using the app across the globe. It is definitely a well used app and liked in a lot of ways, you know. So I think that there is a lot to be said for that, right? If you can go where the gamers are at, or where people are at, and you can entice them because they're all hanging out there, then yeah, it works great. I think that it's ingenious in that kind of way. Now, as far as like real prod, I don't know. Maybe people are making some prod. I mean, sure, that's great. You could do that in any of these mobile games, whether you're doing it through Telegram or other ones. Um, you know, like I said, how long will the interest be? You're right. There was a big push on Facebook because it was like the newness of like, wow, you can play a game right in it was the same thing. You can play this game right in this platform where everyone's at all the time. Facebook was like the peak of popularity at that time. Millions and millions of people around the globe on Facebook every day, spending countless hours. I don't know, I don't know how much Telegram will keep people around to play these games for that long. Like I said, will continue to be a good messaging app. Sure. Yeah, they'll keep adding features and things like that, I'm sure. Do I feel like Discord as a messaging and communication app is better? I do. You can actually do native games inside actual Discord using bots and things like that. A lot more functionality, API, stuff like that. But you know, will it last? I don't think it will, man. I think that the interest is going to be here for a little while, and I think that it'll fade, and there'll be so many clones of clones of clones, and I think that newness will wear off way quicker than it did with the kind of Facebook era, where it went on for a long time. And a lot of these companies that were early there made millions and millions of dollars, right? Through people wanting to play these games. I don't. Is there one game even on Telegram that's just as good as Farmville was when it came out? I don't think there is.
Not
There are
that
a
I've
couple of
played.
fun ones. There are a couple of
But
As
fun
fun
as
as
ones.
good and polished
Farmville,
as Farmville is when it came out on Facebook, is there one game in Telegram that is that good?
I wasn't sleeping during Farmville to put it in perspective. Like I was playing well into the night, waking up to go to high school, fucking crunchy eyed, to just to paint a picture.
I will say there are incredibly addictive game loops that do
What's
exist.
the most one? What's the most addictive game loop you've had on Telegram that like really, like genuinely gets you addicted and you want to play? Just one. Name one.
Yeah, Waifu Clash from Goat Gaming is
Okay.
unfucking believably addicting. It is
Is it
so
is it
fun.
because of big assets?
Partially,
Yeah.
partially. There's a lot of talent there, but also the pure strategery is unbelievably fun and
All right. Let
addicting.
me go look it up right now. Hold on.
Like I wish I could. That what I hope they do next is I wish they would allow you to challenge somebody, like send a link and then you could challenge them directly. But it is quite fun. Now I think where that one gets a little bit, I think part of what makes that fun is that you can challenge other people and you can wager with some of their soft currency. And
Mhm.
so that adds, like, it ups the stakes to where I think it like kind of hits that enhanced level of dopamine in your brain where, if you're wagering or going to the casino and betting, or you're playing blackjack or something, it's like you kind of get the same rush there. I think it's part of what makes it so fun, but also it's a very talented studio behind the scenes. So, I've got no dog in that race. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but it's just a fun game. It's a really, really fun game.
What? Okay, so I've not played that one. It's by Goat Gaming, right? That's the one you're talking about.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay? So what is the game loop on that?
So it's like a 3x3 matrix. I wish I could share my screen and show you guys.
I can give you
Maybe I can.
permission.
I'm
Maybe I
like
Try and
over
get
here
that
trying.
worked
I'm like
out.
hitting. I search for it. I'm hitting all the links, trying to find exactly like where, and it's like, and it even says, oh, you can play it on the web now. Like there's no.
If you go to the Go
Let me
Gaming interface, like where you would like spin the wheel and then click games,
let me
it's
see if I
under
can share.
there.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
I just gave you permission.
Okay, cool. So, all right, we may need to. Let me see if this did it work. Do you see
Yeah,
it?
that worked.
Nice.
I'm seeing
Okay, cool.
Waifu Clash.
So in here, all right, let's actually wager. So crowns, the more crowns you have, the more it contributes to something. We're speculating it's the airdrop, but when you, oh, rip. Okay, let's do the free to play one. But you have
My
these,
point illustrated perfectly.
but you but you have these 3x3 matrices, and you're trying to score points. And so you see, like, it's
So
four
it's a
points for
triple
that one.
triad. It's kind of like a triple triad, looks like, right?
I
You
don't
know
know
the
what
game.
I don't know what the triple triad is, but like
Okay, how do you
if
score
they put the
points?
two, it destroyed here. Each card comes with points. So
Yeah,
like you
yeah, yeah.
see my five destroyed their five. It's like half luck based on what quote unquote cards you get, but
Yeah.
also it's how well are you playing, right? So like when you stack two in the same column,
No, it's four.
then,
You got to have a five to beat them, right?
well, yeah, basically. You could see the point total here. I'm getting just terrible cards right now. But your ones are obviously your worst, but it's just a fun game. Like you could sit here and play this for a very long time.
I don't
And
think I could sit here and play this more than 10 minutes.
I'm not convinced it's as fun to watch, but to actually play and
Now, okay, let
get
me
the
ask you
get
a
the
question then. If
experience.
there was no betting and you won nothing, which could technically be like the actual currency, we don't know, right? Through because it could with speculation that's for the airdrop, and there was no actual in like financial incentivization, would you still play this game over other games?
That's a good question. I've been trying to not play games as much because I don't want my brain hijacked. So I'm not sure I'm the best person to ask, but like, if you're like, would you play this game as opposed to? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Would you play this game as opposed to like World of Warcraft or League of Legends or something like that?
Or really
Um,
any other mobile game, like popular mobile game, we'll say like even Dookie Dash, man. Like I did a video recently on a bunch of like popular Web3 mobile games. And I wasn't a big fan of the first Dookie Dash, but they did a lot of upgrades and really polished the hell out of that game, man. And it's a lot. I would say it's runs really smooth. That's something like it's challenging because it's skill based, and there is possible prizes, which I think is nice. But would you play that game over something like that?
Without the wagering component, I don't think so. I like the stakes to be higher, but also I don't think I'm the
So you're
best.
pure DJing is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Like
so.
and that is why Telegram games work
But
because it's a concentration of a bunch of pure degens who are all basically from crypto. And like the
yes.
most degen of degens are like they're in the trenches is what they call the trenches, right? And that's why it works really well.
However, what I think will happen is, because the monetization loops are there, there is the opportunity for games to take a portion of the revenues from those apps and continuously have things to win over time.
I mean, hopefully that's how you gotta keep hitting that dopamine receptor, right? How much have you
Right.
invested or how much have you paid them to play this game? How much have you put in?
I have not put
Yes.
in anything. I've
Nothing.
been
All right. So
resisting.
so you're a zero investor guy. How many people you think are zero investor players? The majority? Like me? He's like me too.
Easily,
I don't know.
easily 80, 85%. But I mean, we can just look at
Yeah,
other
no,
games
it's
and
all about
know
yeah. That's about
yeah,
right. Yeah, that's about right. Usually, like any kind of game like that, especially a free to play game, it's 89% of people are just playing for free. Then you got your whales. If you get 10% whales, that's pretty good, man.
that's huge. But I guess all that to say, like, I do think there are experiences that are going like gaming experiences like that, which, yes, paired with the incentive and the incentive mechanism, it is fun. And so, like, the leveling the playing field of everyone's going to have incentives, at least in the beginning. This one is very, very fun. And so I think you're going to be more likely to want to play something like that, which is actually a real game, so on and so forth. I'm just excited to see. I guess it boils down to I'm excited to see where Telegram goes because
Mhm.
I do think there is potential, even if we haven't fully seen it hit full tilt or like, you know, launching a game on Telegram is not going to, or launching an experience through the TG interface is not going to necessarily guarantee that you go there. I mean, I don't really see that many other games hitting that many other, that many players anywhere else. Like, where else are we getting players from right
Steam,
now?
Epic Games. I mean, like like the Play Store, Google, or the iPhone store. Yeah, that's where. I mean, but when you look at it, like, right, once again, comparing to Facebook is a great comparison, and that it's also a lesson learned. The next big app that gets millions of people to use it and be on there will be the thing that kills it, right? So it's just like Facebook. It was like, okay, great, real big until people migrated and started going to places like Instagram, and then now TikTok, right? How long it like really, man. What I would love to see versus over Telegram is I want to be able to have a game that you could play natively through TikTok. That would be huge. Like to just literally load the same types of games you're talking about, but then have them through TikTok where like you got someone you're watching some streamer live and then there's a fucking little button. It just says play this game with them right now or play this game right now. And you go boop, and it's right there in TikTok, man. That would kill Telegram in an instant.
X
I'm
would be
gonna go.
great too.
Did you guys hold on? Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we should do it on TikTok. Tell them you're gonna make the call. All right, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, okay. All right, we got to call in. The director is going to see who he can talk to about this, and yeah, I think it's a genius idea. We're going to go with that. We're going to crush Telegram with our TikTok gaming platform, and all these other games they're going to flock there. So just get ready.
Well, I love the TikTok idea. Also love the idea of X integration where people who are like influencers talking shit and you can just be like 1v1 me, bro, or like play me in this little thing and like everyone can kind of tune in and watch these two guys duke it out. I think there's a lot of like potentially excitement there. I think the other big lesson from Facebook is not only was Farmville fun, but it took advantage of its infrastructure for greater reach. And what I mean by that is it was just as fun to build your farm as it was to flex it on Facebook and be like, look at what I'm doing. I got these freaking dairy cows. You guys all suck. Your farm's bullshit. Like that was part of the fun of it. So I'm waiting for Telegram to actually utilize Telegram or at least make it easier to share.
Sure. And that's what I'm saying. Right now, everything is it's just a wrapped web app, man, and it doesn't have the native functionality. And that's what I'm saying. So like, yeah, there's a lot that they could be doing, and it's good. But let's switch topics to something else. We don't got a lot of time left, man. I mean, Telegram, all right, cool, cool. What about the metaverse? Didn't we wasn't there just a big announcement with Neo Tokyo partnering with Open and Readyverse? I listened to the spaces with Ernie on there. It's pretty good, pretty good. They'd be more excited about it.
Yeah, that's absolutely epic. I was super fired up. That's something even
being on the council as Ben and I am, that was kept like relatively hush hush under wraps. So I was in there just as excited as everybody else to hear the reveal. I mean, it's surreal. Like Ready Player One's what really opened my mind up to the idea of metaverse in the first place, and to be collaborating and integrating with, the team and with Ernie, like is just super cool.
Yeah, man, I thought it
Well,
was good. I'm a big fan too.
I'll give you guys a little bit of alpha. The way that that partnership actually came about was because I met somebody last December who was working closely with that team, and connected them with Firestorm and Chronicle, and we've been planning this for so long, but we couldn't say anything. But it's literally been in the works since like last December. And it is, I'm so bullish. Like if you could have somebody helping to architect the story that is the playground for everybody else to play
Mhm.
in and be a part of, and like I really think interoperability will come through lore and story because it's the easiest way to stitch things together.
100%.
But you need a master of storytelling and world building and like whatever you call that to be able to architect a way to where everybody wants to plug in and work with you there. We may have a shot. We may have a shot with Ernie. And I absolutely love the fact that he was so humble. It was like, oh, I didn't mean to hog the mic. And everybody's
I
like,
know. I
dude, we're
know.
here for
I heard. I
you,
was like,
bro.
bro, you should be talking way more. Like, why are they like asking you more questions? Who are these other chumps, man? Get these guys off the stage. I want to hear from Ernie, man. Like I said, I'm a big fan. I've read both the books, multiple times actually, and the movie's great. Steven Spielberg, has done the two movies. Man, I think that like the only thing I'm afraid of is like, please don't screw it up. Please, guys, don't screw it up, man. Like it's there, but I'm just afraid because we've seen so many times in crypto and the metaverse and the people trying and they screw it up, man. And like they have great things like this, and then for whatever reason they just can't. Like it just doesn't. All the pieces don't fit, or maybe there was that greed element there. I don't know, man. But like something happens and it just doesn't work. I really want this to work out, man, because I think that the IP is great. The way they're going about it is cool. I'm kind of working with them a little bit too. Not on the level you guys are, but I think that the concept is cool, and I just really want it to work.
Oh, and a
And we need
metaverse
more from
would.
them. We need more. Like they've been so close to everything. Like they don't show it. Like we got one 15-second clip. I'm like, that's it. That's all you guys got to work with. Come on, give me some more, man. Like, what am I gonna? I can't pop my collar and go in on a mission with 15 seconds of footage. Come on.
I think the bullish thing that we've seen thus far, though, is I think they called their universal blueprint framework or
Mhm.
whatever they called it, but approaching it from trying to build standards that people can
Yes.
coalesce around, that is very much like, HTTPS sort of
Yes,
idea
I've
back
preached
back
that
in the day.
so much over the last 4 or 5 years. People who really follow me in the technical videos and things I've done, I've always said this in interviews and everything is that standardization has been one of the biggest lacking things because everyone wants to be the standard. They want to be VHS. They don't want to be Betamax. They want to be, they want to be Blu-ray. They don't want to be a laser disc. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that there's this struggle for like we want to be the one, and so instead of just all right, guys, okay, we'll accept the standard. Fine, it's not us. We'll use this one. It's very hard for people to do that these days because they know there's a lot of money in it, right? ERC 20, right, was the first real standard in crypto, and because of that, our industry absolutely exploded in 2017. Without that standard where you could just here's a token standard, boom. Like we would not be where we're at right now today. Like there would be probably no neo token, be none of these things. And I was very bullish when I heard them talk about that as well. We've heard some other large entities like Nvidia talk about this as well, where they also have a standard.
Open USD.
Yeah, for 3D assets and things like that, right? So I think we're starting to get there when people talk about interoperability. It is one of the cornerstones of Web3 interoperability, transparency, and we'll say velocity of money, or like, value transfer is I guess the best way to say it. Value transfer, right? Digital value transfer. Huge.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
I think and I know we have to wrap here, but I think one of the interesting things about I'm glad you mentioned the Nvidia one, the OpenUSD.
Hmm.
It's it was actually invented by Pixar, if I'm
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
And
Mhm.
it's being brought to market by both Nvidia and Apple,
Yeah.
and it's part of their Omniverse platform. And
Hmm.
so you should, in theory, be able to take all the different things that you're doing from all the different rendering engines and game development kits and all the different things. And that's like kind of the central place where you build it all. That's probably all that it takes is just for everybody to like get behind one thing and push. That's a brilliant observation of ERC20. Just it took us to the many, many billions and trillions of dollars of market cap that we now have
Yeah.
collectively, in all of crypto. Hopefully we can coalesce. Hopefully we can agree like, hey, we'll just take a smaller piece of a much bigger pie because that's the way. But
Well, I just
who
and
knows?
yeah, exactly. When you hear them talking about their standard, like, all right, man, it's cool to work on that, but if this other one really becomes like, just move to that one. Don't try and struggle and say, no, we want to keep our one thing. Like, just move to that standard and make it work and be and pioneer that one. Sometimes you got to let those things go for the betterment of the entire industry, and that can be hard to do when there's a lot of money attached to it. So I guess that's why I'm
Absolutely.
like,
That kind of
please,
comes
please don't screw
it
it up.
comes it comes full circle to hopefully people will take the standard of disclosing and transparency in all of their media and broadcasts, and that could be the new standard people
Yeah.
adopt.
Well, I hear the GIA agents at my door before I have to liquefy somebody.
Woo. That
Want to
doesn't look
make
like standard
sure.
issue right there, sir. That doesn't look like standard issue.
Oh, this is black market from an outer moon. You don't even know about this. This won't be available till 3000. But Stash, any closing thoughts before we wrap up here? Really appreciate you coming on for the 50th episode. And I know
Yeah.
the GIA has a lot of important duties keeping us safe, so don't want to hold you.
Yeah, I'll just say, obviously I love what I do. I love the GIA, but also a very proud citizen, and love being part of the community and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll be on some game streams sometimes. Apparently I'm part of the game stream team, but we'll hope maybe I'll make another appearance. We'll see. I would love to, and much love to all the citizens out there.
Hell yeah, absolutely stoked to have you as part of the community. And as NT's new operation manager, I'm helping run the NT Plays team. So we'll certainly be in touch about that and the streams and whatnot. Ben, you want to take us out?
My pleasure. Stash, thank you so much for coming on the show. GIA, thank you very much for lending your top operative to us for but a few moments here. Sir Nicholas, you're an absolute legend as always. And to those who are watching and listening, thank you very much for being a part of Interlinked. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care, everyone.